I'm David Katz, Sustainable Resources Management. I used to work with Amir back in the old Ontario Hydro days, and we did the last 25-year plan, and I introduced him, I think, at the U of T last time. So a lot's happened since that last meeting. I want to give him his 6,500 megawatts of demand management and phase change material, like Greg said. I'm helped with the OPA money. We're doing an energy management course that's online. As Rose said, I could announce it. So we are having an online energy management course. We're just launching it, and it's with Centennial College and OPA funding. And today I had the pleasure of reading Andy Frame, who's been around for 100 years, I think, probably. He's a real old timer. Worked with the ministry. Green power sounds good until you collate the cost. There is no right answer, but we need a plan, and we need a plan that adjusts accordingly. And this gentleman is leading a number of very intelligent people who are doing that plan, subject to changing of ministers in the middle of the day and other issues. So with that, I welcome the opportunity to introduce Amir Shalaby of the OPA.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, folks. This will go down as one of the memorable Murphy's Law coming into the way of...
Did you bring the press guy from the OPA here taking pictures?
No.
Oh, okay.
So I spoke with this group a little over a year ago. I had the good fortune of meeting many of you, and I was quite thrilled with the level of discussion and knowledge and passion and interest and concern that the group had. When Randy called me again this year, I was convinced you're not having a slow year, but you have renewed interest in seeing where the energy story goes and how it's progressing, so here we are. One of the things I'm grateful for is getting to know Randy, and thank you for introducing us. He wasn't here last time, he was publishing his book, and we benefited from learning from his book. He came to our company and shared a lot of his insights with us, and we found them very, very interesting, very useful to us. So we're grateful for the association and for getting to know some of you. What I'd like to do is maybe update you a little bit, or if you haven't followed this story, start from the beginning. And most importantly, listen to your concerns, listen to your views, incorporate all of that in what we're doing. It's a fast-moving set of priorities for the city and for the province and for the globe. And many of you must be following the climate change debates, the transit debates, the energy debates in Ontario. Since we spoke last, what changes have occurred? Or maybe I'll take it from the beginning. Over the last 5 years or so, demand for electricity declined in the province by about 10%. And that's a combination of conservation, economic restructuring, recession, and a bunch of factors coming together roughly equally, resulting in demand going down by 10% over the last 5 years. A lot of resources are being built and are under construction in the province. And they're being built to replace coal, primarily to replace coal and to restore reliability in the province. Those of you who followed this scene for some years will remember reliability concerns and supply concerns in the summer of 2002, 2003, 2005. That period was quite tough. We built enough generation to restore reliability. We're building some more to be able to replace coal. Coal is about a third of the fleet, about a quarter of the energy. It's an important component of the electricity supply story, and to replace it completely would take a very significant effort, and it's well underway. In addition to all of that, we have green priorities that are being implemented: renewable energy, transmission to deliver renewable energy, incentives for homeowners, for business owners, for farmers, for industries. I'm sure many of you might be familiar with that as well. So all of that is coming together in a way that would make the electricity system in 2015 or 2014 quite different than what we see today. It will have no coal in it. It will have gas in it. Natural gas will be about 10 or 15% of the energy supply. Probably half the energy supply will be renewables by then. and about a third or 40% would be nuclear. Nuclear will go down, renewables will go up, coal will disappear, and gas will increase a bit. And that may appear to be, if you're not understanding the significance of all of that, it's quite significant to people who operate the system. The system developed over 100 years, and 50% of it is going to change over 5 or 6 years. So that's a massive rate of change. Locations, types, costs, how the money flows, how the system operates. So it's putting stresses on the operators, on reliability, on regulators, on construction companies, and it will cause consumers to take in a whole lot of information. Some of you would be more interested enough to follow the details and the interest in the bills and the costs and the prices. Some will not be. Consumers are going to see time of use rate meters sometime in the next year. They will see different taxation on their electricity. Some of the industrial and commercial customers will see a pass-through of taxes. Most of the residentials will see the harmonized sales tax being put on the electricity bill. So the electricity bill will change in quantum, in composition, depending on your time of use and otherwise. But there is pressure on the cost of electricity because of the renewable infrastructure, because of the replacement of coal, because of the green energy initiatives, and because of the conservation and the recession reducing the amount of energy being sold in the province. Many of the costs, in fact, the majority of the costs in the electricity system are fixed costs. So the lower the base, the higher the cost per unit will be. We're spreading the cost of the system on fewer megawatt hours or kilowatt hours, and for that reason alone, there's some pressure upwards on the price. Some of you may think higher prices are a good thing. They will entice more conservation. They will entice more investments in green energy. They'll entice more awareness of how we're using our energy. Others may not think it's a good thing, and I'd be interested in your views on that. And it depends on whether you're a large consumer in industry or commerce, whether you're retired or whether you're not, whether you live in a housing project that has good insulation or not. So it depends on the individual circumstances, the amount of electricity used, and the views you hold on how much you're prepared to pay to get a cleaner product, a more renewable product, a product that has involvement of communities in Ontario all over. So I'd be interested in your views on that. If you're willing to share them now, cut in and give me a break.
I'd like to see a display near the smart meter or inside the house that shows you this is how much power you're using now.
That exists. That display exists.
Where can you buy them?
I saw it in Black & Deckers makes one of those.
Okay.
Do you know where you can buy one?
You can get them at any hardware store for the smart meters.
Okay, they could connect through a radio link or something, or
no.
There's two different technologies. What you're asking for is to talk to the smart meter in real time and see it.
To listen to it.
There is something that could possibly read the meter, and it's from Blue Line or somewhere else. There are a couple of companies that are selling an ability to look at it optically, and as the thing changes, it sends an optical signal and
take a picture. Take a picture of the display.
Right. It takes a picture, but now there's an in-home display, and there's a number of technologies that are.
You know, David will tell you the varieties, but it is available. It is interesting, and early experiments show that people save 7 or 8% of their electricity just by knowing how much you're using. Just the knowledge of how much you're using, how much it costs, makes you. You could get obsessive about it, but don't get into that. There are better things to do in the day than watch your electricity meter. But go ahead.
My comment on the pricing is the most important thing is to get price signals to induce the right investments. And if that gets corrected, which I think is highly flawed for years, then we should be able to come up with the least cost manner in which we would get our energy services provided. Okay. So the question I think that I'm responding to is, do we think that the energy cost should be raised so that we induce conservation? And my response is that it should rise, if necessary, to the point where we've actually got a robust system that is not degrading the environment and is anticipating the need to move entirely off of fossil fuels. At the least cost, we want the societal least cost of meeting those performance requirements, and we need the price signals right in order to do that. And to date, I think a lot of the activities have been focused on trying to guess the right solution. So as a planner, trying to design this grid is well nigh impossible when you start talking about the small infrastructures of demand response and energy storage. All of the demand side is very difficult to handle unless you've got those price signals right. So I think that's more important than the quantity of the height of the price.
That's right. Any other? Go ahead.
Hello. Most of the green sources are quite expensive. I've done a fairly detailed study on geothermal power.
Acoustics aren't great. Can you speak louder, please?
I've done a fairly detailed study on geothermal power personally, and I think that we could do geothermal power in Toronto by drilling down 15 kilometers at a price of about $5 a watt, which is about less than half the price of a nuclear power plant, and about 1/20th the price of a solar power plant. So to me, green power does not need to be expensive.
$5 a watt is comparable to solar. Solar is about $8 a watt.
Divide by the capacity factor, and you multiply that by 10.
All right.
Geothermal has a capacity factor of near
Good point.
at least 90%.
Good point.
Amir, how much input would you have in that type of decision in the OPA? Or is that, like, in terms of determining the mix of sources, is that part of your mandate?
It is part of our advice to government. It's part of our mandate to file integrated plans with the Ontario Energy Board. Yes, it is. But then it gets reviewed and debated in public and approved. Government policy is the biggest determinant of the supply mix and the energy policy. They get advice from technical folks and planning folks like us, but it is, and more recently, more so, it's a political driver for it. Electricity has become intricately woven into infrastructure, into jobs, into stimulus spending, into green economy revival. So the drivers for electricity investments have broadened beyond just the price signals and just the minimum costs. They've broadened beyond that to include other societal objectives. And the government is the right central agency to see the value of jobs, First Nation involvement, northern development, manufacturing in Ontario. All of these are governmental decisions. So I would say that's the dominant force of this. Right.
The reason this group came into being, for the most part, had to do with the fact that there was a large number of dissidents within the geology community, within the realm of petroleum engineers, people who were questioning the USGS or questioning NRCan and the NEB. And, I mean, over the time that the group has been around...
Well, why don't you stick to that and start questioning the electricity? Keep picking on the Geological Survey and leave it alone.
In the last 5 years, we found that, I mean, there's been a great climb down that's happened at the International Energy Agency and at the Energy Information Administration in the United States. They've gone from, constantly preaching that we will be able to meet 120 million barrels a day up until 2030, no problem. And that's completely changed in the last 2 years.
Right.
Now, I'm just wondering, I'm sure that you guys take the NRCan and the NEB as a Bible. I'm just wondering, is there anything within your group, that you guys talk about that is starting to take into account what the dissidents have been saying for so long?
Yes, there is. Okay. Good point. Maybe I'll take this opportunity to introduce a couple of my colleagues. Jonathan Cruz is here, who's planning the City of Toronto infrastructure plans and works with Hydro One and with the ISO on that. And Rami McGalley is sitting behind the fence over there, but you can hear me because Rami is working in remote communities. And he's had some experience with transportation, with education transit, which may be relevant for this year. So I just want to acknowledge their presence and thank them for being here and pretending to be interested. Thank you very much.